Hi, I'm Shannon. Welcome into my channel, Mindful Crime Couture, where we discuss who or what in the courtroom. And this is a case that I have been reporting on for a while, the Karen Read saga. So in a typical case, I like to watch the live feed from the courtroom, and I am interested in especially what defendants wear, but also what attorneys wear to court, and sometimes people in the gallery or witnesses as well. So I typically tune into a trial watching channel, and then I like to peruse the gallery, find someone that I want to zoom in on, and take screenshots and try to identify what clothing they're wearing. In April of 2024, last year, before the Karen Read case started, I was covering the YSL Young Thug trial and tuning in to see what Young Thug was wearing, as well as co-defendants and other witnesses. And there was a lot of uproar on my news feed about what Karen Read had worn to court for one of the last pretrial hearings. And she had worn thigh-high boots to court. And that was really when I started to tune in to what Karen was wearing and started to post about it. I had a pretty nice following and community before I made that first Karen Read post about fashion, but I had never had a post get so many comments as my very first about what Karen wore to court. And I had some pretty awful comments from both sides of the argument. I am used to getting comments where someone says, "Who cares?" Okay, I do care a lot. And historically, it is important what a defendant wears in front of the jury, who is there to judge them and to judge their character. And oftentimes the defendant says nothing in their defense. They just have to sit there, a blank canvas for the jury to put their ideas upon. So what they're wearing is very important. I'm used to getting comments like that. But I got a lot of comments about that I clearly was shaming Karen for what she wore, or that I was somehow being disrespectful to John's family by featuring what Karen was wearing to court on such a difficult occasion for them. So I kept getting the comments rolling in, and I would show them to my husband, and I wasn't responding. The other thing Leslie commented and argued about on my page is the amount of money that Karen has spent on her clothing, and the debate over whether that is appropriate when she is also fundraising from people. So within my comments, there are a lot of arguments. These are pieces that she wore when she was working at Fidelity or when she was a lecturer at Bentley. So I tried my best on all these slides to show you when these clothing pieces that I have identified were introduced. That way you can see for yourself which pieces she clearly bought after she knew that she was going to trial, and which pieces she had in her wardrobe before, or likely before, John O'Keefe died. Ultimately, after getting that many comments, I definitely thought about just not covering this case, as it seems to be nuclear to touch in any way, shape, or form. But there has never been an opportunity like this to cover someone's fashion in the courtroom. And that is because this case has been sort of a perfect storm in that the defendant themselves has made themselves very available for press interviews and for photo ops and for talking on the courthouse stairs. And typically those things don't happen. And so it's very difficult to get much detail from what someone is wearing in the courtroom. So it was somewhat more accessible to find out what Young Thug and Gwyneth Paltrow were wearing because they're celebrities. It was definitely less accessible to find out what Young Thug was wearing because he was in custody. Karen Read, like Gwyneth Paltrow, was not in custody. So people could capture photos of them leaving and coming into the courtroom, which is very helpful because you never see a defendant's shoes when you watch Court TV or Law and Crime all day. So there were agreed upon interviews, agreed upon press that was happening so we could see what the defendant wanted to wear for those curated opportunities, as well as, being stopped in public, or going in and out of court, or for scheduled things like fundraisers, etc. And the other thing that made this accessible, obviously, was the amount of money that the defendant was able to spend on the clothing that she wears. Because if you are wearing a plain, black sweater into court, it's very difficult to identify. And if you're wearing just, kind of the same thing all the time, it's very, very boring to cover. But Karen wears a variety of things, and she wears a lot of higher end designers to luxury pieces. So they're much easier to identify than just the run-of-the-mill sweater from J. Crew. What people wear in court is absolutely something that defense teams consider and talk to their clients about. When I was interviewed by Boston.com about this, I definitely predicted every single thing wrong. I thought for sure that Karen would play by the exact same rules that we've seen in the past for female defendants. Most of the time, they're dressed in soft fabric, pale yellow, pale pink, of ruffles, or feminine type touches. Ms. Reed wears the exact opposite. This became completely evident from the very first day. I was predicting something soft color, soft textures, but instead she really looks like she is one of the defense team. So day one, here we go. She strides into court and she is wearing this shawl blazer dress in a stretch wool from Theory. This dress retailed for $596, and it was introduced in the fall of 2023. So when you see that, then you know that this was something that was likely purchased for court. She also carried throughout the first trial and the first pretrial primarily this MCM reversible Liz shopper, which retails for $795 in the size that she has it. Now, it was difficult to obviously determine which shoe that is, but she is wearing a beige pump heel. She is never seen in court since the trial started without having this gold medallion with a saint emblazoned on it. This second look is from Brooks Brothers, and it retailed for $750 for the jacket and $450 for the pants. This also was likely bought for court. For some of these, you're going to see I have an exact date, and that is because the style number will show a date that it was introduced and a season that it's introduced. For others, I may be guessing that because it was available retail at the time of me clipping this information, that meant that it had to be purchased sometime within the past 6 months, because clothing of this type doesn't stick around on the main web pages. Now, other things I may have found on resale sites, those clearly were purchased before the trial. Here we see Miss Reed in 2 suiting separates from Rag & Bone. They retailed for around $350 for the cropped Simone pants and $595 for the Lexington blazer. Now, these items were most likely bought before the trial, as I found them both on the resale site Poshmark, and they were no longer available for retail purchase. Day in court was a little bit more akin to what I thought Miss Reed would be wearing throughout the trial, in that she isn't wearing a suit. She was wearing an extremely tailored shirt and gray pants and black pumps. This blouse is actually a designer, Proenza Schuler, and it is a stretch cotton. It is extremely tailored, has lots of darts and gathers, and it features a front zip closure. It is collarless, has elbow-length sleeves, and the original retail was for $790, and it was part of the fall 2023 collection, so it would have been purchased for court. However, at the time of me culling this information, it was on sale for $474. So I'm not sure if Miss Reed bought it for $790 or $474. And for anyone who thinks this is just easy and you can just click a couple of clicks with Google Lens, it really is challenging at times. This blouse challenged me for quite a while. Miss Reed wore it numerous different times under numerous different combinations and blazers. This is a silk blouse. It's called the Freya blouse, and it was by Stella McCartney. This top is almost impossible to buy at this point in time, even on resale sites, because it is many years old at this point. So I surmise because of its tunic shape, which she doesn't wear it in a tunic style, she gathers it like it's seen with the tie in the front. And Polyvore says that it retailed at $775, but due to its tunic style, I would say that this came out around 2016 to maybe 2018. So this is a piece she had prior to trial. Here we have Ms. Reed in Veronica Beard. This is a designer that she wears quite often. And with the Veronica Beard line, there are some staple shapes and silhouettes that the line repeats over and over. So it is pertinent to find the exact colorway and, details from the notions so that you're able to identify which date that these styles came out. So this is the Rubra skirt, which was $400 at retail price, and the Agni blazer, which is $648. This colorway and this combo was introduced in November 2023. So this was likely purchased for trial. Is far more akin to what I thought Miss Reed would be wearing color-wise throughout the trial. But alas, we only see her in this color maybe twice. She has another Veronica Beard that is an icy blue color that she wears later on. Is Ms. Reed in Suiting Separates by Theory. It is a stretch wool again and checked slim blazer, $445 retail, and then the trucka pant, also in the stretch wool in the coordinating print for $445. These were likely bought for trial. This was another challenging piece. As it was a designer brand, Bottega Veneta, it wasn't impossible. So this is a 100% silk dress. It likely retailed for $3,422, but it was introduced around December 2019. So it is a piece that Miss Reed likely had before trial. This dress, interestingly enough, is the closest, I believe, that we ever see Miss Reed wearing pink, which is the color that she has all of her supporters wear. But says in the newest documentary that she doesn't ever wear it herself. She just likes it. These Theory Suiting Separate pieces were seen pretty often throughout pre-trial number 1 and trial number 1. During pre-trial number 1, she matched these up with the knee-high suede leather boots, and during trial, she swapped them out for Louboutin loafers. And I was lucky to grab that screenshot that has the sole of the shoe that gives away that this is a Louboutin penny loafer. Now, the Theory Suiting Separates retailed for $570 for the cropped boxy jacket, and then the tweed miniskirt retailed for $380. No way of knowing exactly when she purchased the Louboutin loafers, as they are a classic style that Louboutin has manufactured for quite a while, but they do retail at nearly $1,000. This Theory combination was likely bought for court. This Veronica Beard suit retailed for $798 for the Lauren Sticky blazer and $478 for the LeBone printed flare pants. This colorway was introduced in October 2023, so this would have been another piece that pieces that she bought for court. And Also, I think it's interesting to note that Miss Reed is a very slight person, and so she would likely need tailoring at times. And she mentions this in a 2020 clip. I'm confident I'm doing everything I can. That includes looking professional for court. I just got this suit from the tailor because the sleeves are too long, and it is a pet peeve of my mother's to see people with sleeves that are too long. So that also points to that pieces, or at least that piece, was bought for the trial because likely Ms. Reed would have had tailoring done prior to if she had owned the piece before. Here we have Miss Reed in a simple sheath dress by Theory. It is Savannah stretch wool, and it retailed for $325. This was likely bought for trial. One thing that it is difficult to notice, Miss Reed vacillates between wearing black tights that are more opaque, and then when she wears that is beige, it is a beige fishnet. Getting shoe info is one of the trickiest parts of trial style, so I was happy to find this photo of Miss Reed entering the courtroom in these Giuseppe Zanotti neoprene heels. They are in the style Annika, and they feature a 3.5-inch heel, and they retailed for $6.95. However, they are a very timeless style, so it doesn't mean that just because they are still available in this style and at this price that she purchased them for court. This is kind of like the Louboutin loafer and could have been purchased prior to trial. This piece is the most frustrating piece for me. This is the dress that the defendant wore on Dateline for their first aired media interview. I have looked and looked for this piece. I believe it was something that Miss Reed had owned prior to trial, probably around, 2016, 2017, 2018 timeframe. But I still cannot find it. It is my fashion white whale. But she has worn it to court with this Smythe asymmetrical blazer, wrap blazer, and this is a new piece that she has bought, likely for trial, and it retailed for $725. If you know anything about this blue dress, please help a girl out and send me a DM. I have not covered every single day of trial. There are some times that Ms. Reed repeats outfits. Obviously, that would need to be done. Also, a lot of her pieces can be mixed and matched. And there are some that I either couldn't identify or wasn't as interested in identifying because they may be very similar to another piece she's worn before. She, especially with her suits, sticks to a very cropped, boxy style jacket or a slim cut jacket, flare pants or cropped pants, and mini skirts. This is the dress that Karen Reed wore for closing arguments for trial number 1. We also see her featured in this dress in the Vanity Fair article that she appeared in. This dress was something that was for sale in the winter 2018 collection for Altuzarra, and it retailed for $1,595. So this was purchased prior to the trial. She paired this again with the textured fishnet nylons and beige heels for the closing arguments. For the Vanity Fair shoot, she is barefoot. So then, as you know how this story goes, that was the closing argument look. And then we had the mistrial. And again, I questioned, do I want to keep posting about what Miss Reed is wearing to court? I have lots of comments about Miss Reed's guilt or innocence. Rather than keep up with it right out of the gate, I took a little break. Came back for the end portion of pretrial number 2. This suit, again, is by Veronica Beard. Seems to be one of Miss Reed's go-to designers for suiting separates, them and Theory. And this is the Miller double-breasted dicky jacket, which is a staple in the Veronica Beard line. And those are the Tanny ankle flare pants in icy blue. So although these are staple pieces in the line, this icy blue colorway was introduced 12/2023. So this was bought for trial. And as you can see, Karen Reed has also started wearing a second gold Saint medallion to her first staple one. And this began, I believe, in pre-trial number 2. And I guess we will see if it lasts into and throughout trial number 2. Karen is being seen in a different courtroom by the Massachusetts Supreme Court. This look is what she wore for her claim of acquittal. This dress is 8 by Ukes, and Ukes is a Net-a-Porter. A Net-a-Porter is an online retailer for luxury fashion and beauty, and Ukes will often have sale prices. However, it's still luxury brands, so the sale prices may not be as big of a sale as some folks would want. But this had a really great price when I looked it up of $165, and that was as of 2/12/25. She wore this to court on 11/6/24. I don't know what it retailed for at that point in time. She paired this with black opaque tights. This dress is actually 100% lambskin, and you can kind of tell by the way the fabric lays that this is not her typical stretched wool suit. So this is a pre-trial hearing on November 13th, 2024, and Karen is wearing a stretch dress, again a sheath silhouette, and this is by Theory. It retailed for $325, and it was likely bought for court. And I definitely started thinking about these sheath dresses from Theory that she bought, and I viewed the documentary from Investigation Discovery where Karen Reed says they only make about 4 decent suits for women that don't make you look like Hillary Rodham Clinton, and I've got them all. So now I'm on to dresses. Like I mentioned in the onset of the video, I was not only looking at the things that Miss Reed was wearing inside the courtroom, but also at other events. This was a fundraiser that she had on her behalf, or that she appeared at on her behalf, and it was 11/24/24. And this dress is a dress. It's actually not a skirt. She's paired a sweater over a dress. This was a runway featured Stella McCartney dress called the Amora print silk midi dress. It is now only available on sites like The RealReal that sell secondhand items of luxury. It was available at Saks Off Fifth for a bit as well, and she likely paid upwards of $1,900. Another hearing, another tweed boxy suit by Theory. This is another one, again by Theory, $475 for the suiting set jacket, which is cropped in the boxy style that she seems to favor, and the tweed miniskirt retailed for $225. These were likely bought for trial, and this was a motions hearing that occurred in December of 2024. This suiting set is identifiable by those hexagonal buttons that you see on the front, as well as the raw seam that you see down the back of the jacket. I'm not quite sure what the occasion was, but Ms. Reed, as I said in the intro, is oftentimes captured out and about on her daily errands, or here she's dining out. The restaurant that she was at was Strega Italiano at the Seaport, and she is wearing a Veronica Beard Vega wool dicky jacket in black and white, which retails for $648, and this would have been purchased around the time of the trial. Also, these Bianca Dye shoes are available on Yoox, which at the time of my culling this information were on sale for $147. And this was her look for dining at Strega on 1/29/25. As you can see in this one, she is not wearing the double saint necklace. 1/31/25, we had another pretrial hearing for pretrial number 2, and Ms. Reed was wearing a combination of a camel-colored beige-ish pair of pants and then a very unique blazer from Emporio Armani. So there are 3 main sub-labels to the brand Armani, and Emporio Armani is the mid one. This jacket, as you see, is very tailored, very gathered, and has this double zipper that makes it unique. And it retailed for $531 and was likely bought for court. Ms. Reed was also wearing this exact same combination for parts of her interview with Ted Daniels that aired in 3 parts on Boston 25, and that aired in February of 2025. So Ms. Reed was wearing this on 2/6/2025 for pretrial number 2. Thank you so much to @KarenReedUpdates, an account on Twitter/X, who found this information on this suit, which was purchased again on Ukes, the Net-a-Porter site. And at the time of this culling was $450 and the miniskirt was $145. These items on this Net-a-Porter do not last very long, so this is no longer available for retail sale. And in February on 2/25/25, and these shoes are no longer available for retail. They were likely purchased prior to her having any charges against her, and they are a designer brand YSL calfskin 4.7, almost a 5-inch heel, and they retailed for $665 at the time. So if you got through all this, thank you for watching. I will be tuning in to see what, if any, changes Miss Reed makes to her trial style for this second trial. And I hope you'll join me.